Invincible has a power consistency problem. Every episode is like rolling a roulette to see if Mark and the other characters will be strong or not. Mark in particular is constantly bested by villains far weaker than himself, which at first was fine. He was a brand new superhero with no experience in getting used to his powers. Of course he's going to be inconsistent. But then Season 3 starts out like this.
Mark's speed has increased 65%, his endurance 70%, and his strength 138%.
Mark has become an indomitable force of nature, on par with other Viltrumites who are virtually... some of which are capable of lifting up to 100,000 tons. Mark's doing freaking reps with the heaviest weight Cecil can make with a multi-billion-dollar budget. The scriptwriters even go out of their way to tell us that he's unquestionably the strongest hero on the planet. Their one hope against the Viltrumites. Surely there's nothing on Earth that can... Oh. He's losing just as much, if not even more, than the previous seasons. How is he still struggling with some of these threats? He has no reason to hold back against these worms. What are they made out of? How can they just tank punches that are the equivalent of being struck with a meteor? Given how much the series has been gassing him up, I fully expected a One-Punch Man moment here. Why do I feel like the other Viltrumites would have been able to handle this situation within seconds? Or how about when Multi-Paul was trying to kill Rex? He was able to slow Invincible down. Granted, Invincible was clearly holding back here, but Amazon literally could have done their tried and true method of dragging a PNG across the screen with Mark just floating towards Rex, and Paul completely unable to stop him. Paul trying to stop Invincible would be the equivalent of a group of newborns attempting to stop an NFL linebacker in a full-out sprint. Mark didn't even flinch when he was hit by a train. Why would a group of normal people all of a sudden force him to go all out in order to get through them? And like a nerve gun? You mean a glorified taser? How can your dad get hit with this and only get a nosebleed, but you get hit with a nerve gun and you're practically out of the fight? Your skin is thick and strong enough for you to sit in molten lava like it's a jacuzzi. Why is a nerve gun doing this to you? The other Guardians should be paralyzed for life if this is the case. If you're enjoying this video so far, I'd really appreciate if you could like and subscribe to help with my goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers before the end of the month. Thanks. Each fight that Mark loses or struggles in undercuts the threats of the Viltrumites because he's comparable to them now. In this season alone, at least 5 things have been introduced that can injure, incapacitate, or kill Viltrumites just on Earth. The Rebellion force has been scavenging the galaxy for ways to deal with the Viltrumite threat, and solutions are casually revealed by weekly villains on Earth. Omni-Man in Season 1 felt nearly unstoppable. The Viltrumite's an insurmountable threat. Now each time I see one on Earth, I question why Cecil hasn't utilized nerve gun technology left behind by the Mahler brothers, Doc Seismic's tech control on the worms, or doesn't have thousands of those sonic wave devices with how much budget he spent on the stupid zombies that get shredded like butter. There are so many options to deal with them now. The Invincible War was even more proof of this, as tons of heroes we've never seen before were capable of dealing with the different Mark variants. At least, the weaker ones. When Mark fights against a Viltrumite, it's like he becomes an entirely different character. He's way stronger, able to take harder hits, dish out more damage, and so on and so forth. If he used a fraction of this type of strength in other situations, they would have been resolved almost instantly. This isn't even taking into account his super speed, which no one besides other Viltrumites or maybe someone like Battle Beast would be able to react to. Mark has no excuse for getting beat up the way he does. Mark is capable of incredible strength, speed, agility, and defense, but in each fight it's like his stats are randomized. They're always high, but low enough that whoever he's fighting has the capability to injure him, even if logically they shouldn't be able to. Mark almost died when fighting Mr. Liu. In the same season, probably within weeks, he fights Conquest. Granted, Conquest is stronger, but Mark is able to keep up overall. Do you think Liu could keep up with this? Liu's even in Season 1 dealt with by missiles from Cecil. Don't know if this was the end of the fight or not, but still. Mark was constantly overwhelmed in both strength and speed in his fight with Liu. The damage that resulted was a destroyed prison. Yet when he fought Conquest, they toppled cities and destroyed buildings with single punches. The fight was constantly changing location because of just how fast they move. Do you think Conquest would struggle at all against Liu? He'd get bored after killing him for the 12th time without a struggle and then launch him into the sun just to get rid of him. I expected Mark's fight with Liu to go more something like this. Or like this. In each fight, I'm hoping that Mark actually tries and isn't bullcrapped into losing by some dumb reasoning, usually getting defeated or heavily injured by something he or another Viltrumite of a similar caliber has shown themselves overcoming. It's really frustrating how many things can damage Mark and other Viltrumites without any explanation. For crying out loud, Angstrom literally fights Invincible with a bunch of cameras. Why are these suddenly able to overpower someone capable of lifting freaking icebergs and flying through concrete and steel buildings as if they were made of paper? What makes these cameras so special? Once again, I expected something more like this. In every fight, I'm surprised either by how weak or strong mainstay characters are. I can never quite put my finger on where they fall strength-wise. And I feel the durability of Viltrumites is constantly shifting from being borderline Superman to more Captain America. Still very strong and durable, don't get me wrong, but the difference between the two is absolutely massive. For example, somehow Rex was able to kill a Mark variant. Like, it was a great scene, don't get me wrong, but everything I've witnessed so far, that should be way outside his capabilities. Our Mark survived a nuke a couple episodes ago, for crying out loud. Why is Rex exploding his skeleton significantly more powerful than that piece of the floor he blew up that only cracked the variant's glasses? The ability to solve problems with magic is proportional to how well the reader understands the magic, is a quote by Brandon Sanderson, specifically his first law when writing hard magic systems. Even though this is a show about superheroes, it would fall into the quote-unquote hard magic system category with all the powers, abilities shown throughout the show, and how impactful and integral they are to the story. However, this system doesn't cue its audience into its rules, changes, or reasonings, making it feel really inconsistent. I'm not expecting a detailed episode where they spell out exactly what characters can and cannot do, but just a little consistency or a peek behind the curtain for how certain things work and why. I'm not even sure what some of the Guardians' abilities are. A great example of a superhero show that does this well is Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Each member has relatively clear capabilities, and the show makes distinctions when they're able to act outside of those capabilities. There rarely is a time where someone is able to do something that seemed utterly impossible for them, or underperforms in such a way that feels uncharacteristic of them. It's a great show. If you enjoy superhero shows, you should definitely check it out. Obviously, if Mark was stomping each and every threat on Earth without breaking a sweat, that would squash the stakes of all these in-between episodes that don't surround the Viltrumite threat. That is the root of the inconsistency. The lore has established that Viltrumites are borderline, and that Mark is on par with other Viltrumites after his training. But these episodes between the main plot still need to be exciting and engaging. So Mark struggles in fights that, according to the lore, he should have no trouble with. Being only 3 seasons in with multiple more planned, I understand why this approach was taken. The show could easily become stale if nothing on Earth posed a threat to Mark this early. But in its current iteration, Mark's fights in these in-between episodes come across as inconsistent and somewhat bad writing. It's possible to write overpowered characters in an engaging and nuanced way. You can even have them struggle in fights without making it feel like you're actively nerfing the character. I'm still excited for future Invincible content. The Conquest fight has me hyped for whatever they're cooking up next. I just hope that moving forward, the writers can add a little bit more consistency to Mark and the other main characters. Do you think that Invincible has a power consistency problem? Let me know in the comments down below. A special thanks to a buddy of mine who gave me some pointers with this script. I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching my video to the end, and I'll catch you next time. God bless.